Hey, I'm Kirk with Applied Risk Solutions. Today we're going to go over, what do you do if you get into a vehicle accident, a crash? There's a lot of things that people don't understand about crashes. There's a lot of liability, and it's very important to gather all the appropriate information and do all the right things and not make any mistakes, which can increase your liability and have a huge impact on whether or not you're going to be charged with the crash or not be charged with the crash. So to start with, of course, you have an accident, you have a crash. The first thing you want to do, assess the situation quickly. Is it a serious crash? Does it appear there are any serious injuries? If there are serious injuries or appear to be serious injuries, you want to call 911 and get an ambulance rolling. Anytime you're involved in an accident with a third party, another vehicle or somebody else's property, or another person is involved and they're injured, okay? So you're in your vehicle, somebody's injured in a crash, there's property damage in a crash, you always want to get a police report. So call the police, even if the other party says, no, let's not call the police, let's just exchange our information, get a police report. Even if you're on private property, you want a third-party documentation for the event, okay? The other thing you want to do immediately after the crash is before you get out of your vehicle, okay? Assess the situation behind you, around you, make sure it's going to be safe to get out. Do not get out of your vehicle if you're around a sharp curve, if you're right over top of a hill and you've had a crash, because chances are if you're on the interstate or something like that, you're not off the road into a safe location, do not get out of your vehicle. Every year thousands of pedestrians are killed because after a crash they get out of their vehicle and they step out and somebody else runs over them. I tell you, not more than about 6 months ago, I was driving down the interstate, there was a crash, 2 lanes over, and if I hadn't slowed way down, this lady got out of her vehicle and walked right into my lane. So people are not aware of that, but you need to be highly attuned to that to not get out of your vehicle. The other thing is if you have a crash, it is the law that you move your vehicles off the road if they're drivable. Now, some people are not going to want to do that, but I will tell you this. You need to get your vehicle off the road to a safe location because it is the law. And if the police show up and you're the one blocking traffic and causing this big of a mess for him or her, they're not going to be very happy. So, but I will tell you this, that in the event of a crash, one of the things you do want to do is before you move your vehicle, if possible, you do want to get out and you want to take some pictures, okay, of where everything is before the vehicles actually get moved, okay? And this is critical because if you have to move your vehicles off the road, the other party may have a different story about what happened. So especially if you know that you're not at fault in the crash, you really want to do this. So I always recommend that if it's safe to get out, go ahead and get out. You want to get your phone out and you want to take some pictures of where everything is before the vehicles are moved whenever possible. So, and everybody's got a smartphone these days, or just about everybody. All right, next thing you want to do is you want to back up and get as far away as you can safely, and where you can kind of get a good view of how the vehicles were, positioned at the accident scene, okay, before they're moved. Do this quickly because a lot of times a third party may want to try to move their vehicle, and you just want to make it kind of clear where these vehicles were coming from, where they were going. So back up, take your pictures, different angles. Picture tells 1,000 words. I can tell a lot from this. After you've got some pictures of kind of backed up how the scene was, come up and take some pictures of the actual damage to the vehicles. Don't get so close that I can't tell what part of the vehicle it is, but not so far away that I really can't tell what's damaged. Sometimes on vehicles you want to kind of get a little bit of an angle. If you take a picture straight on, it's all glossy and you really can't see. You got so much reflection from the light. Look at your picture before you take it. Kind of get down and take a nice picture of the damage to both vehicles. Okay, and you've got damage on the red vehicle here. You want to kind of get down where you can see exactly how bad it is. But take some good pictures of the physical damage to the vehicles. The other thing you can do that can help you out with your accident report is you can take a picture of their tag, because that'll help you with the back of their car, what kind of car it is. It's a Jetta. You can just about take most of your information from this. The next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to fill out the accident report, okay? This is critical. All right, just to recap everything, you've had a little crash. You went through the process of making sure nobody was or hurt really bad where you needed to call an ambulance immediately. There's a third party involved, so you always want to call the police to have a police report. You've taken some pictures of the scene before you move the vehicles. You want to look around and see if there's any witnesses. If you know you're not at fault, and you may need a witness because the other person may not be truthful. So you've really only got a few seconds after a crash to kind of gather that information. So, look around. Are you blocking somebody? Is somebody waiting behind you? It's a great idea to go back and say, hey, did you see what happened? Can I get your name, a contact number for you in case there's some discrepancy? Because, as you saw, I was not at fault here. But get your witnesses quick because they're going to drive away and leave you hanging high and dry. The next thing you want to do after you've got your little pictures, witnesses, all that, is you want to move your vehicles to a safe location. Get them off the road so you're not blocking traffic and it's a safe place to do your total investigation and things like that. That's where you can take your detailed pictures of the damage to the vehicles and things like that. And the most important thing you can do in an auto crash in today's environment is do not admit fault, okay? Whatever you think you've done, whoever's fault you think it is, do not accuse the other person, but do not admit fault, okay? That's the police officer's job when he gets to the scene to make a determination based on their story and your story as far as what happened. And personally, I have found these pictures before you move the vehicles can be invaluable in supporting your part of the story based on where the damage is on the vehicles, how you answered the officer's questions as far as where you were going, where had you been, and things like that. So, don't argue, do not admit fault, okay? Often, people do things that they shouldn't have done, and maybe you thought you did something. Let the police officer make that determination, because as soon as you say it was my fault, his job's over. He's going to write you a ticket and go on, and you are going to be stuck with this accident. So once you're in a safe location, now's the time to fill out the accident report. Only takes a few minutes to do this, but the information is critical because at Applied Risk, of course, we're going to help you gather the information you need to put together a good defense for you if you need it, and or to help quickly pay claims for at-fault accidents, okay? So here we go, the accident report. This is what it looks like. All right, now we're going to talk about filling the accident report out and getting the information that's going to be necessary to help us put together a defense for you in the event that you're charged in the crash and you really were not at fault. Here's a copy of the accident report. You should have one in your vehicle. If you don't have a copy of one of our accident kits, you need to get one, have it in your vehicle, so you'll know all the information that you need to gather to help us help you, okay? First thing you want to do is you want to sketch out the situation. As you can see, we're in a parking area here. The red car is going to be A. You might even want to write red on here because we took pictures. And this is the gray car, okay, right neat, okay? And, kind of do a little sketch of how the vehicles ended up at the end of the crash. And then what you want to do in the narrative here is you want to come through and you want to describe what happened, okay? For example, you could write here, I was driving vehicle A, pulling out of the parking area. Vehicle B was nowhere to be seen, and all of a sudden, it backed up very rapidly and came from nowhere right in front of me. Not only was it on the wrong side of the right-of-way here, but they just haphazardly just backed in here really quick, and at that point, the front of my car contacted the side of their car. In fact, I actually stopped and was completely stopped when they came by and scraped the side of their car on the front of my car. Okay, so that, just using A, who was driving A, who was driving B, which way you were going, which way they were going. If you don't know which direction, north, south, east, or west, if you know that, you can write it on here, that's fine. But, you can always say, I was traveling forward. And we can look at the pictures and kind of piece this together. The next thing you want to do is go ahead and fill the whole report out. All the information here is very important, okay? Circle the conditions, put your name. Some of this stuff you can fill out later. I understand, like the company name, the franchise name, your company phone number, that kind of stuff. But the critical stuff that you must gather at the scene, all your employee driver information, you can fill that out later. Don't worry about that, but the other driver's information, we've got to get that. Their name, their address, their phone numbers, their driver's license number, the make and model year of their vehicle, damages, just a brief description. Get their insurance card and see, do they own the vehicle? Are they the named person on the insurance card, or is the car owned by somebody else and they're driving it? Get their insurance company, their policy number, their effective date. Was the driver injured? Were there any other passengers in the vehicle? If they were, get their names, okay? Witnesses, did you get a witness? List any names for any passengers that were there. The police department is not going to be able to give you an accident report same day, but it might be available in a day or two. But nevertheless, we need to know, what is the police department? Okay, don't make us guess. Was it the state police? Was it the county police? Was it the city police? Was it the parish police? What is the police department? The police officer should be able to give you a card or something that'll tell you what the report number is going to be and when it's going to be available. Were you given a ticket? Were you cited or charged with the crash? If so, what were you charged? Was the other party charged? And just as much information as you can. Be polite to the other party. They're liable to be rude. No matter what they say, just be polite, okay? It's not going to get you anywhere. Police officers, especially be polite to them, no matter what, because folks are so rude to them so often that if the other party's just being a real jerk and you're the nice guy, and you're just being very cooperative and helpful, almost being kind of empathetic towards how this guy's acting. A lot of times the officer cuts you some slack. He may not ticket you. He may say, "Yeah, both of y'all are at fault," or "Both of y'all are at fault," when maybe you were more at fault. Again, do not admit fault. Be nice. Be kind. Don't argue with anybody. Take good pictures. Get all this information for us. Get it back to your store manager. And get it submitted as soon as possible. The other thing that I didn't mention that's real critical, if you're driving for work and it's work related and everything, and you have a crash, you want to be sure that your manager knows as soon as possible. Like the second call after you've called the police to ask them to come, fill out an accident report, is to call your boss and let him know you've had a crash, you're going to be late, okay? So he's not worried about you. Again, I'm Kirk. I'm here with Applied Risk Solutions. I'm here to help you put together and defend your accidents with everything we can. But keep in mind, he who has the most and best information often can win a court case, okay? Especially if you've been incorrectly charged, okay? Police officers are human. They make mistakes. A lot of times they come to a scene. You've had to move the vehicles. The other person might be older, may be well connected, and may be a better liar. They may be a really good liar and be very convincing on what happened. And you may get charged in a crash at which you were not at fault for. And if there's injuries and things like that, these things can be very, very expensive. So gather the information, document what happened, don't admit any fault, call us. Talk to us before you call your insurance company, carrier, if it's a personal vehicle. And, we're here to help you, okay? But you got to help us help you. Again, thanks, and look forward to working with you. Take care.